Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Happy Easter. Happy Easter. Whoa! Everyone looks so gorgeous. This is so wonderful. And hello out there in Zoom land and Facebook land. My name is Carol Ann, and I am your host for today. Welcome. Thank you. I wasn't looking for that, but I'm always grateful, you know. Why don't you say hi to everybody, give a wave, say hello to your neighbor. It feels so festive, doesn't it? There's like a mood in the air this morning of joy and love and laughter. I'm really, really happy to be able to be here. So let's have our congregational song, shall we?
Something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. Something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. I can feel it in my body, I can feel it in my soul, I can feel it in my heart, and it won't let go. Something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. Something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. All this love inside, we can let it shine. Something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. Something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. Something wonderful.
Yes, something wonderful is happening to each of us right here, right now. So let's do our exploration slide statement. You know, we have had a mission statement for many, many years, and we've repeated that week after week. But this exploration vision statement is a little different because it is about us transitioning, potentially, once we decide that that will actually happen, where we join two communities together. So this is our vision statement, our vision of what it could look like once our two communities have joined together. So if you would say this with me, please. Through mindful and respectful exploration, we are creating. We're gonna wait for that slide to come up. I am so sorry. Okay, let's do it this way. I have an idea. I'll say it, and then you repeat it. Okay, we can do that. through mindful and respectful exploration.
Through mindful and respectful exploration.
You're really good.
You're really good.
We are creating a healthier foundation.
We are creating a healthier foundation
that supports and engages a whole beloved community.
That supports and engages a whole beloved community.
Equipped to launch new strategies.
Equipped to launch new strategies.
For a thriving spiritual center.
For a thriving spiritual center.
Woohoo! Okay, so before we continue any further, I'd like to make introductions. Very first of all is our beloved Reverend Sunshine Day is back again. For those of you that haven't had a chance to hear her previously, you are in for a treat. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, she'll get it. She'll get it. You'll see. And our musicians, Benjamin May, Olga, I'm not going to try your last name, and our bassist, Matt Evans. So just by way of announcements there, Olga and Benjamin are going to be leaving us. Southern California, they're going to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and Pittsburgh will be completely lucky to have the two of them. And Matt, you may not know, is a student at CSU. So we're really glad to have him with us. And last but not least, our beloved Marjorie Ray is our practitioner this morning. So to that, we're going to do some announcements, and I'm going to do the first one. You're all wearing hats today, right? So we need to show them. We're going to have an Easter parade. So commonly after the minister speaks and does their share, we have an interlude of music, and then we move on with the rest of the celebration. Today we're going to do it a little bit differently. After Reverend Sunshine shares, I'm going to come back up and direct you. I'd like to direct. I'm going to direct each of you with hats to please line up over on this side, and then our musicians are going to play Easter Parade. And so you'll all very slowly walk down to through the center aisle. We want you to walk back up again just in case there's more time. And afterwards, there will be gifts and prizes. And so without any further ado, Marjorie will finish our announcements.
I am wearing two hats today. Well, three. My Easter bonnet, too. Right now I'm wearing my council president hat. And as most of you know, we are exploring the possibility of unifying with Namaste. And that vote is going to come at the end of this month. We're providing a lot of ways to communicate with everyone and make sure everyone has all their questions answered about this potential unification. So every Wednesday, well, 3 more Wednesdays, the 12th, 2 more, the 12th and the 19th, this Wednesday and next Wednesday at 6:30, there's a Zoom meeting. There's a link on the Waves of Joy, and Namaste has a link on their newsletter. Everyone is welcome to come and ask whatever question you have. There are no dumb questions. It is all there for everybody to know as much as they can and get as comfortable as they can as we kind of walk into the unknown, actually, and we're going together. Then, next Sunday, we have our collaboration meeting where the Exploration Leadership Team will make a presentation about what's going on and what's happening after service. And we are also going to celebrate Reverend John De Palma. We've had Reverend John De Palma for 18 months as our interim minister. He's going to continue as our interim minister, but he's going to continue remotely. So next Sunday will be his last Sunday. So we wanted to honor him. We're going to have cake and pizza, and we'll have a chance to actually hug him and say thank you. Then on the 23rd, we have a special meeting after service where members will get an opportunity to vote on whether we want to unify with Namaste. That will put us into a transition. We figure it'll take another 5 to 6 months to get all the pieces together to actually start living in one place together. But the decision to unify will come on the 23rd of April after service at a special meeting. A lot of stuff going on. Then on the 29th, we have a workshop, Ascension. It's a personal journey presented by Valerie Day and Chris Munson. It includes guided meditation and sound bath. And once again, you'll find a link to sign up on the Waves of Joy, and Namaste has it on theirs as well. So let's just take a deep breath with so much going on and just allow ourselves to rest into that center, to allow ourselves to just sink into that space within that is the space of love and peace. Our theme for April is vulnerability. The first thing I did was looked into our Science of Mind textbook to see what Ernest had to say about vulnerability. And he didn't say anything about vulnerability. But I have to remember that he was born in 1887. And his book was published in 1938 when our country was still recovering from the Great Depression. They weren't worried about vulnerability. They were worried about having food on the table and a roof over their head. I am also recognizing that those principles and philosophies that he set forth work today as well. And I'm happy to say that our centers are growing and evolving through that. And thus today we're talking about vulnerability. One of my favorite authors is Brené Brown. She writes extensively about the courage it takes to be vulnerable. And she also writes that most of us carry masks that we picked up in our youth or along the way that we think protect us. I grew up in an era, excuse me, where women were to be seen and not heard, and don't rock the boat, and just keep everybody happy. So I was trained to be a people pleaser and a perfectionist. At my bottom, I did not know who I was. I knew who you were. I knew what you wanted. I didn't know what I wanted. And I was working myself to death. And I found this program, and it's been a long path, but I've made great improvement. And I now know that vulnerability, the willingness to be vulnerable, is how I became more authentic and makes it me able to get up here and speak in front of you, knowing that whatever I say is what I say, and it's all good. Brené Brown has a quote about her life. It takes courage to be vulnerable. Excuse me, that's mine. See, sometimes I make mistakes. The most important and valuable things in my life came to me when I cultivated the courage to be vulnerable, imperfect, and self-compassionate. Hear those 3 words. Vulnerable, imperfect, and self-compassionate. It's learning that if I make a failure, I am not a failure. It just means I have another opportunity to grow. And our Science of Mind magazines are filled with writings today that are so appropriate. On the 7th, it talked about failing gloriously. Failing is necessary. Being a failure is optional. Everyone fails. Watch a toddler. As they first attempt walking, they take a few steps, they fall. They get up, take a few steps, they fall. Take a few steps, they fall. Eventually, they figure it out, and most toddlers begin walking, becomes second nature. In actuality, failure, or what appears to be failure, I don't believe in failure. I think they're just different lessons, but our society says failure is just a chance to learn and grow. We have an opportunity to learn and grow here as we look at the potential of merging with Namaste. We're going on unknown ground. We are being vulnerable, willing to look at new ways, willing to know that we will make a mistake here and there. And the beautiful thing is that we have the tools to walk through any mistakes that come along. And Reverend John, I'll thank you for those, because that is extraordinary respect, compassion, accountability, and safety. And as we use these values, we have the context, the support to walk through anything as we move into this new territory. And wouldn't you know, today's Science of Mind daily read ends with, we can think of Easter this way. It's a time to shed or let go, let die off that which is old, so we have room to grow and welcome the new. I couldn't say it better. So let's just all get quiet as I recognize and know that there is just that one power and presence that is in, through, and as each and every one of us. And I know that as we come together with our energy of joy and love and that willingness to be vulnerable, we experience that joy freely without judging, just allowing that joy to come forth. And I know that this service and sunshine, I know, allows that spirit to speak through her. So I know that everyone hears what they need to hear, experiences what they need to experience. And I declare this service to be good, very good, and magnificent and fun. And so it is.
When lonely feelings chill the meadows of your mind, just think, if winter comes, can spring be far behind? Beneath the deepest snows, the secret of a rose is merely that it knows you must believe in spring. Just as a tree is sure its leaves will reappear, it knows its emptiness is just the time of year. The frozen mountain dreams of April's melting streams, how crystal clear it seems you must believe in spring. You must believe in love and trust it's on its way. Just as a sleepy rose rose awaits the kiss of May. So in a world of snow, of things that come and go, where what you think you know, you can't be certain of, you must believe in spring and love. You must believe in love and trust it's on its way. Just as a sleepy rose awaits the kiss of May, so in the world of snow, of things that come and go, you think you know, you can't be certain of, you must believe in spring and love.
That was awesome. Let's give them some more love. We got a full house today. Wow. Sometimes I pretend to be happy when in fact, I'm really sad. And sometimes I pretend that I'm interested in what you're saying to me, when in fact I'm really bored. And sometimes I am afraid, and I pretend to be courageous and unbothered. I like playing that game. It's called Sometimes I Pretend, when in fact I wonder what you might say being vulnerable. I wonder if any of you have something that you want to share with the community. Sometimes I pretend, when in fact I. Sometimes I pretend my heart is healed when it's still broken. Thank you. And we're talking about vulnerability. We're talking about the strength that it takes to be vulnerable. Like Marjorie was vulnerable a few moments ago. Like I've been vulnerable. Like Bertha has been vulnerable. What prevents us from being vulnerable? How other people see me.
Fear of disapproval.
Fear of disapproval.
Fear that it can't change.
Fear that it can't change. Shame.
Pride.
Guilt. Pride. Fear of being labeled. And there was one more over here. Yeah. Fear of it negatively impacting others. Barbara. Yeah, perfect. Thank you. All right, we've got one more over here. Fear of really being known. Fear of being rejected. Fear of rejection. Fear of being misunderstood. Being misunderstood. Wow. Like, this is what we're faced with as community. And when we're talking about two communities coming together and making those decisions, it really is about being vulnerable and finding the strength in that vulnerability. Because community is really people coming together anyway. So two communities coming together is just people coming together anyway. But if we're afraid to speak about the fears, if we're afraid to be vulnerable, if I am afraid to be authentically me, how do I really get to know who you are? How do we take off the masks? How do we do that? And that question leads us to discover something within ourselves. Ernest Holmes says that there is something within you that has never been hurt or harmed, that has never been disturbed. It is that life spirit that when you take away and when you put aside your social identities, who you think you are, what you think you're about, that when you put aside your name, when you put aside your race, when you put aside your gender, when you put aside your positions and your titles, when you put all that aside and you actually are still enough to recognize that those are just the accessories, like the bonnets you're wearing, that those are just the accessories to your human experience, but that who you really are is spirit incarnate. That who you really are is this power and this presence. Who you really are is the unique, unrepeatable, magnificent, powerful way in which spirit is showing up in human form. that place that has never been hurt or harmed, when we tap into that power and presence, that we can truly be authentic and recognize our wholeness. I'm wondering how many of you and how many of us can actually stand before ourselves and maybe before others and say, this is my life. Here's what I've done. Here's what I haven't done. Here's how I've shown up, how I haven't shown up. And that these experiences have been fulfilling, have been shaming, have been not the best decisions all the time, have been the greatest decisions that we've made sometimes. How many of us can actually stand in the truth of just saying, here's my life? All of it. Whatever you might label good or bad or ugly or warts or scars. You see, sometimes vulnerability is seen as something, as a way of people with advantage. Do you know what I mean by that? Of people with advantage. That in our world, here at least in the US, that our society values some people more than they value other people. And if you walk on that side of advantage, yeah, I'm gonna go here. If you walk on that side of advantage, it might be easy to be vulnerable because you're walking on the side of advantage. But if you're walking and living and having your being in the side where your life is not valued as much because of all of these social constructs, it's a little more difficult to be vulnerable. It's a little more difficult to say, I don't like that, or here's who I really am. Why? Because it's unsafe. It's not the status quo. A great example of that might be, here in the U.S., the religion of choice is Christianity. And so growing up as Jehovah's Witness when I was a child and not celebrating Easter, not celebrating Christmas, it was really difficult for me to actually be authentic and be vulnerable and go, well, we don't celebrate birthdays. Because I wasn't walking on the side of advantage, meaning being in the popular and the most approved of religion here in the U.S. And the same is going to be with our sex and our gender and our class and our race and our orientation and our national status. That sometimes we elevate some and put aside others. And what must it be like to walk on that side of the fence and try to be vulnerable when already people are starting off in a very vulnerable position? And so as spiritual people, especially in a movement that is not a religion, but in fact a philosophy and a way of life, our Science of Mind philosophy speaks to wholeness. And it speaks to this idea of inclusion, even though in God there is no inclusion or exclusion. Oh, by the way, there is just the allness that God is. God doesn't include or exclude. Spirit is all there is. Therefore, everything is the unique and unrepeatable way that Spirit expresses. And so as spiritual people, it is incumbent upon us to roll away the stone that blocks us from the light, the Spirit, the sunlight of the Spirit that blocks us from life itself. It is incumbent upon us to resurrect, to come back to life and recognize that we are indeed one. And that we get to value and celebrate the differences. that we get to honor and actually praise and celebrate how people who might be way different than us, how they express, and actually dare to say, look at God. Look at God. Do you think it's easy for a drag queen or a transgender to step out of the status quo and perform or simply live? No. But that is God expressing, and we get to go look at God expressing in all of its glory. Instead of saying, whoa, that person's way confused, not my children, I don't want my kids. It is incumbent upon us to actually stretch and roll away that stone of doubt, of fear, that something is going to happen. What's going to happen other than God expressing itself? What's going to happen other than Spirit recognizing Spirit? What is it for us to see someone experiencing homelessness and go, look at God? Instead of, what pity. I wish I could do. No, look at God. Look at the way Spirit is expressing. Look how resilient life is as that person. That is me. That person, that life, that force is in that person just like it's in me. When we look at someone who's brokenhearted, when we look at someone with illness, instead of going, how sad, how pitiful. Look at Spirit. Look at God expressing, allowing ourselves to be vulnerable, allowing that strength to show up in, through, and as us. Fear is the #1 killer of vulnerability. Because if I'm afraid that you're going to judge me and I'm not going to be myself, who are you going to meet? You're not going to meet me. You're going to meet the fake sunshine. I can't live like that anymore. We cannot afford to live that way anymore. The other killer of authenticity, of vulnerability, is uncertainty. I don't know what's going to happen if I do this, but I got to do it anyway. I get to face it and recover. Not, I get to face it till I make it. I know a lot of times you hear fake it till you make it. No, stop faking. Stop faking. It's not about faking anything. It's about facing it. This is how I feel today. This is what I like. This is what I don't like. Why must we pretend? I'd rather hear from my friend. I can call up my friend and go, hey, I called you 3 times. What's up? Are you okay? I haven't heard back from you. And, people like to be polite. Oh, I didn't get your message. Oh, I meant to call you. I'd rather hear, yo, life is in session. I thought about it, but I didn't. I got busy. And, I love you, but I got busy. And that's just the way it is. It's not personal. It's life. How many times have you not called somebody back and made some silly excuse? Stop lying. Let me wag my finger when I do that. We weren't taught to lie. What if we're vulnerable enough to say, hey, how about when you get a gift and you don't like it? The one that end up in the white elephant the next year? What if we were vulnerable enough to say, thank you, and it's not for me. I don't like it. I would prefer this the next time. I know, it sounds difficult, right? It's like, ooh, how rude. We start judging each other, how rude, But I'm saying thank you. Like, I appreciate that you went out of your way to get me a gift. It means a lot to me. And for next time, here's what I would prefer. Like, I don't wear bonnets. Just saying. Right? And guess what? Next year, you don't get me a bonnet. I might have a nice corsage or something, be like, yeah, Sunshine don't wear bonnets, so let's not get her a bonnet. Da, da, da. Right? But there's that fear and that uncertainty. Will they like me? Will I be their friends? Will I be kicked out of the club? Will they tell me not to come to the spiritual community anymore? And the other killer of vulnerability is comparison. Well, the other people, they're not doing that, or I must conform and do it this way and go with the flow and not be the outlier. Because I want to fit in. I don't want to fit in, beloveds. I don't want to fit in. I want to belong. I want to know that I bring value. I want to know that I am valued. Fitting in and belonging are two different things. And that's why I speak loudly about building and cultivating a love-minded community. We could be like-minded. That's all the same. But love makes room for all of it, the wholeness of spirit. The wholeness, which is sometimes the stuff we don't necessarily agree with, but I love you enough. There is room for you here. There is a seat for you here. You belong. We celebrate that difference. We recognize it. This weekend and this time where our world is looking at Easter, looking at Passover, looking at Ramadan, even Jehovah's Witnesses celebrating Passover. This only happens every 33 years, where all three of those holidays are upon us at the same time. I don't think it's a coincidence that the world is reflecting upon itself. That we're looking to roll away the stone, that we're looking at a new life, that we're looking at new meaning, that we're looking at letting go of that which is dying off and taking on something new. Now, I hope that my words have comforted the afflicted and afflicted the comfortable. Because unless we are rubbed the wrong way, unless we are kind of moved out of our comfort level for a moment, there is no opportunity for growth. And so my invitation, beloveds, is to stop pretending. Unless, of course, we're with our youth at a tea party. But to stop pretending and to be vulnerable enough to take the risk to show yourself. To be authentically you. It's going to be what is absolutely necessary as communities come together. It's going to be what's necessary in order for you to live your best life. I was taught to be a good little kid. I remember telling Miss Flaherty, I ain't going to be a chatterbox no more. And I wanted to people please so bad, but I was just talking and talking and talking. No wonder I became a minister. Allow yourself to show who you are. Scars, pains, joys, crazy thoughts, and all. If we can't accept one another in this community, then where are we to be? Don't fake it till you make it. Face it. Be you. Allow yourself to be vulnerable enough to be embraced by God sitting next to you, by God sitting behind you, in front of you, to the left of you, to the right of you. When people are vulnerable with you, beloveds, just say to yourself, look at God. Look at Spirit. Look at. How beautiful and magnificent and flamboyant and kooky and wonderful and weird and quirky. How wonderful it is to behold the variety, the difference, the glory, the splendor of God as each and every person before us. As you celebrate this holiday season, I invite you to be vulnerable and to show off your strength. It is so, and now it is. Thank you.
Have an Easter parade happening. One of the things that you spoke to, Reverend Sunshine, that really strikes me on a personal level is this idea of fitting in and belonging. And I've worked so hard as a creative, I can be a little wackadoodle in my choices. But I wanted to belong. But I didn't know the difference between fitting in and belonging, and I have shaped myself throughout my life to fit in when what I just wanted was to belong, be a part of something. You touched me really deeply with that. Thank you. So I'm going to step away from this microphone, and I'm going to... Hello? Can you hear me? Good. I'm going to use this microphone. So we're going to have an Easter parade. Now, one of the things that Reverend Sunshine mentioned is to be your authentic self. If you don't want to be in the Easter parade, please, it's okay. But I encourage you to be brave, if you would, and just take a moment to come and enjoy the Easter parade. Michael, would you please join me and bring your basket? So here's what I'd like you to do. Would you please line up over here if you're going to be in the Easter parade? Florette, I know you're going to come. Come on, Dawn. And Rachel, I'm sure you're going to join us. Everyone, come. Mary's going to join us. And so is Dale. Now I'd like you to know that you're there. Now those of you that aren't wearing hats but would like to walk in the Easter parade, please come. So here's what we're going to do is you're all going to get a prize. Everybody gets a prize for being in the Easter parade. So come on and join us. Come on. Yes. And when you come up, because we don't know everybody. We don't know everyone's names. So I'm going to stand over here, and when you walk up, Mike, would you stand? Thank you. Mike's going to give you a prize, and I'm going to ask you to speak your name so that God each of the god and goddesses here can hear you, who can know who you are. And let's begin.
I'm Pam, the Easter Bunny.
Marjorie Ray.
In my
Maria
Easter bonnet, with all the
fabulous
frills upon
Fabulous
it,
Sylvia.
I'll be
I
the
am Lorraine.
grandest lady
Gorgeous darling.
in the Easter
I am Cindy. Happy spring, everyone.
Cindy's wearing a
You'll be
beautiful
all in clover, and when they look me over, you'll be the proudest fellow in the Easter
Karen, welcome.
parade on the avenue.
I'm Donna.
Fifth Avenue.
Eileen,
The
Louise, Francis, Cook,
photographers
Davis.
will snap us, and you'll find that you're in a photograph. Oh, you could write a sonnet about my Easter bonnet and of the girl you're
is
taking
June.
to the
Happy Easter,
Easter
Lauren.
Hi, Lauren.
parade.
Dun 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 dun.
Dun, 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 dun.
I'm Florette.
This is beautiful Florette.
Say your real name? Janie.
Janie.
Dina.
Dina.
Melinda.
Melinda.
Karen.
Karen.
Julie.
Julie.
On the avenue,
Mary.
Mary.
Fifth Avenue.
Happy
The
day, I'm Dale.
photographers
Hey,
will
Dale.
snap us,
I'm
and
Delphine.
you'll find that
Delphine,
you're in the
welcome.
photograph. Your
Oh, in the
Maria,
write a
welcome.
sonnet
about the Easter bonnet
Joanne, welcome,
and be
welcome.
the grandest couple
Jennifer.
in the
Jennifer, so wonderful to see you.
parade.
Harry, welcome, welcome.
Alexander, and I'd like to thank Irving Berlin for this song.
Alexander, thanking Irving Berlin. Debbie. Hi, Debbie. And
I'm Judy Garland.
Judy Garland is here in the house. Woo! And I am Carol Ann, your mistress of ceremony.
On the avenue,
Mike.
on the avenue,
Fifth Avenue,
Fifth Avenue.
the photographers will snap us, and you'll find that you're in a photograph. Oh, we could write a sonnet about the Easter bonnet, and we'll be the grandest couple in the Easter parade.
Children are coming. The children are coming, so let's keep on. And we have some children in the house. Woohoo! Alex. Rob. Miles.
Mackenzie.
Mackenzie. have the children, yay!
He wants to take it home.
Okay, we're just gonna go ahead. Wow, good morning, everyone. Look at all this bright funness out here. I love it. I love it. Happy Easter, everyone. So, can we just get a little, actually a big round of applause for all these wonderful children? Can you come up here? So, I know he's eating his candy. Sorry, parents. Sorry. So, does anybody here want to tell everybody what we did today? Do you want to say anything we did? You want to say what we did?
We did an Easter egg hunt.
Yes. Yeah. And what did we play a game? Does anybody want to tell about the game? No? Yeah, is that it?
You had to close your eyes holding a bucket and scoop cotton balls into it.
They weren't just ordinary cotton balls, though. They were actually bunny tails. Yeah. And what else? Oh, we colored bunnies, and then, because we tend to get a little rowdy every once in a while, we had a bunny tail. What should we call it, Gabe? What did we do with the bunny tails? What did we do with the bunny tails afterwards?
We threw them at each other.
Because, what's Easter without throwing bunny tails at each other? So, rumor has it you guys aren't quite finished with everything you need to do here, so I'm going to turn it right back on over to Carol Ann.
Yeah, we skipped over a couple of things, and I wanted to make sure we got them included. Although we did have a fabulous Easter parade, didn't we? It was fabulous. Thank you all for participating. So what I'd like is the offering slide, if you would, please. And there are all kinds of ways to give: time, talent, and treasure. You can walk in the Easter parade and show off your hats and present yourselves. I know the children, it's so interesting to watch them, isn't it? Yeah. But they're gonna, are you going back to are you gonna stay here or you're going back?
We were just gonna remove ourselves from the stage for right now. I don't know. So what would you like us to do?
Yes, you can stay with us. That'll be fun. Thank you. So there are all kinds of ways to give. You can text a tithe, you can send in a check, you can put cash in an envelope, you can write a check. There's all kinds of ways to give to the community. I feel extremely fed here in terms of a spiritual, but also social and emotional. So, yeah. So let's say our offering blessing together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am prospered. Thank you, God. And we have practitioners available. Would you please stand and let yourselves be known? Practitioners can pray with you to help you achieve whatever your goals may be, but also a place to just talk about the stuff that's troubling you, or a place to get support where maybe there's a physical affliction of some kind, or you just need support. So please take advantage of us. We like that. Thank you. And let's do our benediction, if you would, please. And together we say, something wonderful is happening to me right now. It is this thing called life. Life is in my mind, life is in my body, life is in all that I do. I give thanks for it, and I accept it, just the way that it is, and just the way that it is not. Thank you, life. Woo! would you come to platform, Eileen, and please stand and sing the peace song, would you?
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, let this thing meant to be. With God as our Father, we'll lose all our we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be the moment now. To make each moment in peace, each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Happy Easter, everyone. Happy Sunday. See you next week.